All right, welcome back to the shipyard. So, you wish to build a fleet to put into Attack Wing. So here's your site: crazyvulcan.github.io/utopia underscore builder slash STAW hyphen utopia. And yes, there will be a link to that in the description of this video because links are so much easier than trying to read tiny text on a screen. Believe me, I know. Now, well, you can go through and you can search anything, you can filter, you can build whatever it is you like. You don't have 7 copies of Cloaked Minds? You can have 7 copies of Cloaked Minds. You want 3 copies of Type 8 phasers and upgraded phasers? You can have them. Not on the same ship, though. That's illegal. Um, Now, I've gone ahead and pre-built a fleet because, well, that's just better. And then you don't have to sit and watch me build a fleet because that's boring. I mean, it's interesting if you hear thought process, but for the most part, it's boring. And what you're going to do when you're done building your fleet is you are going to come up here in the top right to export. You don't want a traditional export. You want a tabletop sim export, right? That makes sense. We're playing in tabletop sim. We want to export to tabletop sim. You're going to make sure this is all copied. You're going to copy. Now you're going to come over to Tabletop Simulator. You're going to highlight this text that's in the center. Now it says F8. You actually want to press F7 to do it. Something's changed in Tabletop Simulator. You can also select the text key and highlight it that way. Make sure you press Control and then just paste. And again, sorry, you have to click in the center first. There we go. All right. When you're done, switch back to the grab, and press Build List. And it'll take a minute. And well, now we've got a stack of 46 cards because, well, there's a lot of duplicates. Not because we had 46 cards on our fleet, but because there's duplicates. All right. So, that's essentially what you need to do. From there, you can see we've got some really cool models. We've got a whole bunch of photon torpedoes. And we've got all the cards we need. We can keep going through all of our setup. When you get the duplicates, these are not the photons we're running. We just wipe them out. We actually want that Sakona. This is not the Sulu we wanted. Again, not the Sulu we wanted. Still not the Sulu we wanted. See, we're just deleting stuff. That was the Sulu we wanted. And you can see, not our Riker. Not our Riker. That's our Riker. No. 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 Yes. And hey, look, the proper photon torpedoes. So this is not a thrilling process, but it's a necessary process. And it's important to note that when you have duplicate names, this is just what happens. It's not a bad thing. It's just part of how everything goes. All right. And of course, we'd want to clean that up and make it look better, because if you showed up to a game with a build looking like that, no one would want to play with that. And you can see, hey, we've got a damage deck here. We can shuffle it and keep on shuffling it, because nobody wants a Warp Core Breach as their first crit. You can draw a damage card. You can flip it. Hey, look, it's a direct hit. It's worse than a Warp Core Breach. You can flip it. You can put it back on the deck. You can reshuffle it. We can draw a new card. Hey, look, now it's a Jostled Navigator. So you can see that the shuffling does actually work. What more can I show you? Hey, look, we got dice. As many dice as you ever want. You can roll the dice with R. You can roll the dice by right-clicking on it and rolling. You can modify dice. Hey, look, there's a crit. There's a hit. Battle station. Still a hit. More battle stations. No, blank. Yeah, but I'm jumping all over the place here. Other things you need are these two amazing pieces of info. These are your control panels. Well, a dial and a control panel. And you don't want to move them. I mean, you can. But what you want is to copy and paste. And then you take your ship and you come over here and you sync it. And you also sync it to the dial. And then you just move it back. And then we'll do the same thing with the Sutherland. And we'll sync it. And we'll sync it. And then, if you notice, right, if I put the Enterprise there, and say I want to do a 2 straight, hey look, it just moved. I can undo that. I can do a 3 bank. The ship moves. I can do, oh, right, say I had a Klingon ship and I do a 3 come about. It does come about. When I want to do an action, I just press the action. It drops that token right next to it. This really is the control panel that does just about everything you need. I did not want to delete my Enterprise E. So, note, if you delete something you're not supposed to, you're going to run into some trouble, because all of your models unsync. You can either spawn a new one from the build, or you can try to press undo, but then you're going to have to pull stuff off the board and resync it and mark it. So really be careful with what you delete. That's the best I can tell you. You can see over here you've got a token bar for your shields, your disable tokens, time tokens, and these things that nobody ever uses. They're critical hit markers. I mean, I'm actually more inclined to use them on Tabletop Simulator than anything else, because I don't have my damage cards staring me in the face. But yeah, shields, you can move as a group. I say you can move them as a group, and then they don't want to move as a group. And you can, of course, flip them as a group or individually. That's up to you. Miscellaneous tokens. If there's something you want but you can't find, you go in here to this box of extra items. You can search for it, or you can look for it. There's gold press latinum. There are Borg counters. There's Tholian webs. There's objective tokens. There's mines. There's, the good mines. There's the mission or the resource counterattack, elite attack dice. Those are fun. Tribbles, fighter tokens. The Q cards, I'm actually not sure why the Q are there. There's some pre-done builds in here too. Those are always nice. I think there's a 3D ship that's a mission token in there too. Planets are in here. So really, it's just about anything extra you can want is there. I should note, initiative. Initiative's here too. And it's very nice. This says move first, shoot first. You highlight it, you press F, and now it's move first going this way, shoot first going that way. And it just tells you what to do when there's a tie. Right? Just like the initiative token does in the real game. Maneuver cards are in here. You just go through, go to search, and just find your class, right? In my case, I would need a sovereign, so I can pull that out. And I also need a nebula class. So again, I'd pull both of those out. If my opponent also needed one, we could just highlight copy. But I don't know what my opponent needs. So I just bring those over. They're now part of my fleet. And now we have my maneuver cards. If you're running a large base ship, a Borg cube, or a Deep Space Nine, a Nor class ship, use a different reference card because they're there. We've got a mission database in here, and we've got demo builds in here. We can search through that. Right? We've got a pre-built Voyager, Equinox. There's a whole bunch of ships that are already built in here. In case you don't want to go through that whole process of building, you can just come in here, pull out a build or a ship or two, and you can just mess around and have fun. That really is Attack Wing. One other thing I would note is that before you go choosing a map, use this grid to set up your ships, because this little gray area here, or highlighted area, that's range 1. That's range 1 of your starting area. So if you use that, that is a very definitive, is my ship still in my starting area? Right? Sure looks like it. And you do that, you set your ships up, and then you can go through and scroll through maps. And pick whatever map you like. A couple other things I should note. You can change your rotation degree, and you can rotate things like ships with Q or E. Also, you see this little dot in the center of a ship? If you click on it, and it's specific to each ship, it'll only do one at a time, though. That brings up range. Right? The red bar is range 1. Yellow bar is range 2. Green bar is range 3. And, more importantly, it also segments it into firing arcs. So you can see what's in range 1 in your firing arc, range 2 in your firing arc, and range 3 in your firing arc. And no, it is not a perfect circle, because the base is a square, rectangle, actually, probably. Beyond that, let's see, the Enterprise E. Right. You should also always play as a color, because once you play as a color, you can then actually set your dials in underneath your box of secrets. And sometimes the first time you adjust them, they look weird, but once you flip them over and flip them back or hit set, it clears up. And then you can reveal your maneuver dial to your opponent and they can see it. So that's one way you can set dials in secret and then reveal them to carry everything out. So again, I like to think this is fairly intuitive once you actually know the fundamentals of it. Part of it is just messing around with the system, being able to pull the dice you need. You can copy dice, right? You can clone. You can make a clone, and it'll just spawn dice. And you can, right now you can roll all the dice. And that looks that looks better than what I normally roll. But anyway, and you can just go and delete stuff. You can set a timer, and we'll set a timer. Let's say we want it for an hour. So you do have to do a little bit of conversion, and then it's 3,600 seconds for an hour. And then you can left click to stop it, left click to get it going again. Make sure you're in grab mode for everything. Don't go into gizmo or stuff. Definitely don't go into flick mode. That will send things all over the place. But yeah, this is Tabletop Simulator for Star Trek Attack Wing, and I'm getting used to it. I'm still learning stuff. I'm still figuring it all out, but I think that it's definitely worthwhile, and it is so easy to use. When I say that I'm still getting used to it, I mean that it's just simple, and it's a matter of knowing what this system is capable of. It's knowing everything that it can do versus what you have to do when you're in person, right? There are times where I'll accidentally highlight something and go a little too far. That's how I mess up. But that's not the fault of the system. That's my own fault. But yeah, I think that's a good place to stop. It's probably more than a good place to stop. But hopefully that has been informative. And if you have any questions, please leave comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care, guys.